Thank you for coming and meeting with me today. Um, First question is, when did you start playing the piano and what inspired you?
I started when I was a young child, around ages 5, and I really didn't have any source of inspiration. No one in my family was a musician, but I just felt drawn to it. I had a little toy keyboard and I just had fun kind of playing by ear and just starting to play with the different keys and sonorities and just being into it. But it was self-led, if you will.
And when did you first think that you might want to pursue a career in music or piano? Like when did
Uh,
it first?
yeah, when I was a teenager, I studied in Bolivia initially, and then when I moved to Cuba, I started studying in a very high level environment where there was a lot of structure to music education, and I started to see that there was a great potential for it to actually become a career, not just a hobby. And so that's when, around ages 15, is when I decided I was going to go into it fully.
And how did you balance your studies and piano, especially like when you were in high school and and you had so much other things going on, like especially approaching college and everything like that. So how did you balance your time and find a good place like this is what I need to do?
Yeah, I didn't really see it as something separate from my school. I was at a conservatory, so all throughout growing up and since I was 10 years old, music was part of my required studies, if you will. It wasn't something separate from schooling. So I had the fortune of having a lot of accountability and structure in my education. And I just committed to creating a routine. I had a lot of accountability, meaning I had regular monitoring from my teachers. I had exams, I had juries. I had a lot of structure that was given to me, fortunately, that kind of forced me to stay organized. And it kind of blended in into my education. It wasn't siloed. It was still part of everything I needed to do for schooling.
And what inspired you to venture into entrepreneurship alongside your music career?
Yeah, it was really realizing that in order to create a sustainable career in the arts, understanding how to initiate your own income opportunities would be pretty much the key to survival. Because unlike other careers where you can go to school, get a degree, and pretty much find a job pretty effortlessly, music is not one of those where you can just find a job and you have to basically become an entrepreneur by force, if you will, and create ways of providing value and solving problems for others and then getting compensated based on the solutions you provide. So I don't think it was a decision that I made just because I wanted to. It was more of a decision that evolved out of necessity, finishing my doctorate degree. My husband and I both had the same education. We were both coming out of school with doctorates in piano, and we realized we need to create our livelihood. We can't just rely on someone hiring us.
And how did you decide that you wanted to help other people and teach them how to sell themselves and help them get more like jobs and customers and everything like that?
Well, I initially did it for my own self, right? For the first 5 years, I built my music school and just had to create my own income stream and business. And then the opportunity to come and teach musicians in the context of academia kind of fell on my lap after 5 years of running my own business. And I was invited to lead a university program to help musicians break down the steps and figure out how they could also build their businesses, preferably while still in school, so that by the time they finished their degree, they could have uh, an income stream that wouldn't rely on just waiting to get hired. And so for me, it was a way of giving back what I had learned, what I had had to develop. I had a lot of people helping me along the way, a lot of guidance and mentorship, and just great resources that I was given while I was in school. So I wanted to basically recreate that opportunity and pass it on to those who were now in the same position that I had been just a few years back.
And how do you see now, how do you balance your music career with your entrepreneurial endeavors? Like, do you prefer one over another, or do you see both of them as your job, or which one do you do more of?
Yeah. So the nice thing about creating what I call a musician's profit umbrella type of framework is that everything that I do is all under the same umbrella, meaning whether I'm working as a pianist or as a strategist, guiding musicians, mentoring them, It all comes together to kind of solidify how I help people, meaning the reason why my background in piano helps me guiding other artists is because I can relate to what they're doing. I can understand their journey. I understand their language. I understand their problems. I understand their fears. And so that strengthens my perspective in guiding other musicians. And then when I perform and I go on tour and I give concerts, that strengthens my own creativity and builds also um, part of my brand as a musician who also guides other musicians. And so now I really kind of focus on going back and forth between creating content where I showcase my playing skills. I put a lot of videos on online, and occasionally we do still, my husband and I still do perform in live events, but balancing both the content creation through music with the guiding and mentorship has come all full circle, where I don't really feel that they're that separate. They just complement each other really well.
And this is the last question. But what is your favorite part of your career and why do you enjoy it so much? Is there one specific part that you just look forward to every single day?
Yeah, for sure. I'm an empowerer, meaning I like empowering people to step into the best versions of themselves. And I've done that all my life, whether I was doing it as a piano teacher when I taught piano only, whether I was doing it as a performer where I would play in front of audiences and give them a new sense of hope, of optimism, of possibility through art. And now in the context that I do, guiding musicians in building their businesses and also leading my team and helping them grow into being part of this movement, at the core of everything that I do is empowerment. So for me, that's the favorite part of what I do, is just no matter how I'm doing it, at the end of the day, I love empowering others in taking bold steps and making decisions that they perhaps otherwise wouldn't have, and ultimately creating freedom in their life. I think that's one of the most beautiful qualities we can have, is a life of choices, having time freedom, having financial freedom. And through your creativity, it is very possible to achieve that when you have the right structure and the right model.
This is so interesting. Thank you so much for meeting today.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome.